And EU have condemned Sudan's airstrike on a border area in South Sudan and called for an immediate end to hostilities. The two states could be on the brink of all-out war as Sudanese warplanes bombed a town in the south on Monday, killing a boy and injuring 10 people. There's been fierce fighting for weeks now as the two countries struggle to resolve their border dispute since South Sudan gained independence from the north less than a year ago. The split followed 2 decades of civil war that claimed an estimated 1.5 million lives. But the separation caused arguments over oil. South Sudan now has most of the reserves, while all the pipelines run through the north. South Sudan's president is currently visiting Beijing in the hope of winning Chinese investment on a new pipeline. Well, political analyst Sreeram Chaulia says it's a development that offers hope for peace between the two sides.
Typically, if there is a conflict like this, it's usually Washington or a European capital that's getting in. But here is a golden chance for, Asian powers, emerging economies to make an important diplomatic intervention that will show that, the world order is changing. Otherwise, if we leave it again for it to go back to the Security Council, where, again, France and Britain and the US are going to form some kind of resolution against one of the other sides for aggression and for violating sovereignty, it's back to square one. And whether it is China, India or Malaysia, could become potential peace brokers or even jointly do something to end this conflict, which is not benefiting anybody. The West has no stakes, and because the Western oil companies have been out of the game altogether, it's watching as a bystander. Because of US sanctions on Sudan since Darfur, and because of the genocide charges and the Western emphasis on the war crimes committed by President Bashir, there has been total lack of access for Western corporations. So it's interesting that even South Sudan, which was created through Western support and intervention at the international level, is increasingly turning to China, India or Malaysia to resolve the problem. They're not going to ask Washington or the Europeans for it. So I think China, I would say historically, a more welcome peace broker than Western countries, which have looked upon Sudan as nothing but a piece of land with a lot of oil underneath the soil.